If self-discipline feels like a struggle, you're not alone. What if the difference between where you are now and where you want to be comes down to a few clear, proven skills? How often do you find yourself giving in to distractions or emotions, even though you know better? What would happen if you could train yourself to take control every single day? This video isn't about vague advice or quick fixes. It's about real, practical steps that can change the way you handle your choices and your time. You're about to hear 10 skills that have helped countless people improve their self-discipline and get results. These skills are designed to challenge you, push you, and guide you toward the person you want to become. If you're ready to stop making excuses and start taking charge, this is a must-watch. Stay with me, and let's get to work. Now let's dive in. Number 1. Create a clear set of daily standards and stick to them. Self-discipline begins when you decide what kind of person you're going to be every single day. Not just who you want to be in the future, but who you will be today. This is not about dreams or big goals just yet. This is about structure. This is about setting up a daily set of standards that guide your behavior, your choices, and your focus. Most people leave their days to chance. They wake up without a plan, respond to whatever comes, and wonder why they never feel in control. But the truth is, when you don't have standards for your day, life will hand you someone else's plan, and it won't lead you where you want to go. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. And the only way to raise your life is to raise what you expect from yourself every day. Now, we're not talking about writing out a long list of tasks that overwhelm you by 10 a.m. We're talking about a set of clear personal standards that define how you show up, how you treat your time, how you treat your responsibilities. Things like waking up at a certain time, keeping your word, showing up on time, finishing what you start, eating what fuels you, cutting what drains you. These sound simple, but they're hard to do every day when no one's watching. And that's where self-discipline is born. If your life feels out of control, if your results aren't changing, look at your day. What do you allow? What do you ignore? What do you make excuses for? Most people don't need more motivation. They need standards. Standards that are non-negotiable. You decide the rules of your own game. You decide what you tolerate from yourself. But once you choose your daily standards, they're no longer up for debate. If you said no screen time before breakfast, then when the alarm rings and the urge hits, you remind yourself, this is who I am now. This is what I do. Self-discipline is not about forcing yourself into misery. It's about honoring what you said mattered. People don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they're unclear. Clarity creates consistency. So write your daily standards. Keep them simple. Start small. Keep them visible. Put them on your wall. Read them in the morning. Read them again at night. These aren't things you try. These are the things you live by. Over time, they shape your identity. They build your reputation with yourself. And that reputation is the foundation of self-discipline. Because when you prove to yourself that you follow through, you start to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you stop quitting. You don't need anyone to push you when your standards pull you. When you've made a clear decision that certain things are now part of your life and certain things are not, you don't need to debate with yourself in the morning. You don't need to fight temptation all day. You already decided. The work now is to stick to it. And when you don't, because there will be days you slip, don't turn it into a story. Don't let it slide into the next day. Fix it. Realign. Get back on track. That's discipline. It's not being perfect. It's being committed. And the deeper your commitment, the stronger your discipline. Every successful person you admire didn't get there by accident. They built their life around personal standards, and they stuck to them long before the rewards showed up. They made hard choices in private before they were praised in public. And you can do the same. You can decide what kind of day you will have by deciding what kind of behaviors you'll allow. You can stop living by feelings and start living by values. You can draw the line, not tomorrow, now. Because the quality of your day determines the quality of your life. And your day starts with standards. Your standards are a contract between who you are and who you're becoming. If you want to grow, the contract has to be real. It has to be signed in action. It can't just be something you post online or write in a journal. It has to be lived, over and over. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. Change always does. Discipline will feel awkward before it feels automatic. But the discomfort is proof you're moving forward. It's a sign that you're not just running your day on autopilot, you're choosing your life, one standard at a time. So think about it. What are 5 things you would do every day if you were truly the disciplined version of yourself? What are 5 habits or behaviors that match the life you say you want? Choose them carefully. Make them realistic. Then stick to them no matter what. That's how confidence grows. That's how strength is built. Not by motivation, but by repetition. You won't always feel like doing the right thing. That's why standards matter. They take the decision-making out of your hands in the moment. You already decided. All you have to do now is follow through. And when you do, when you push through those moments where quitting seems easier, you get something that's far more powerful than pleasure. You get pride. And pride in yourself is fuel. Real fuel. The kind that lasts. Most people are waiting to feel like doing something before they do it. But if you live that way, life will keep you stuck. Discipline means you do it whether you feel like it or not. You do it because you said you would. Because you hold yourself to a higher standard than the one the world sets for you. You do it because your life matters. And how you live your day is a reflection of how seriously you take that fact. Now, will this be easy? No. That's the point. But it's worth it. The kind of freedom you get from self-discipline isn't the kind you can buy. It's the kind you earn by showing up for yourself when it would be easier not to. Every standard you live by adds weight to your character, and character is what carries you through when things get hard. It's what makes people trust you, believe in you, follow you. But more than that, it's what makes you believe in you. So if you want more out of life, don't start with goals. Start with standards. Define your day, decide what's acceptable and what isn't, and then live by it like your future depends on it, because it does. That's the path. Not exciting, not flashy, but powerful. Quiet power, the kind that lasts. Number 2, train yourself to do the hard thing first every day. Every day we're faced with choices. Some easy, some difficult. And the moment you wake up, one of those choices will come knocking. It won't wait for you to be ready. It won't care how you feel. And if you're not careful, you'll put it off. You'll tell yourself you'll do it later. Once you've had your coffee, once you've eased into the day, once the pressure dies down. But deep down, you know what happens next. Later turns into tomorrow. Tomorrow turns into next week. And nothing changes. The truth is, the hard thing you avoid is the exact thing that would move you forward. The difficult conversation. The workout you don't feel like doing. The early wake up. The phone call you've been putting off. The work that requires your full attention. These are the things that build you. These are the tests. And they appear every single day. The problem isn't the hard thing itself. The problem is how long you wait to face it. Because the longer you wait, the heavier it feels. And the heavier it feels, the more likely you are to avoid it altogether. That's why training yourself to do the hard thing first changes everything. It shifts the way you carry yourself. It sets the tone for the rest of the day. When you start your morning by facing resistance, you strengthen your ability to stay in control. You prove to yourself that comfort doesn't lead your life. Character does. And once you've handled what's difficult, you take back your power. You walk into the rest of your day lighter, sharper, more focused. Nothing else feels as overwhelming. The small annoyances don't shake you. You've already faced the hard part. It's not just about productivity. It's about who you become when you stop running from effort. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop giving in to feelings that don't serve you. And it builds a quiet kind of strength. The kind that isn't loud, but lasts. The kind that doesn't depend on praise. The kind that makes you walk into each day knowing you're the one who decides how it unfolds. Every time you delay doing the hard thing, you invite stress into your life. It lingers in the background. It steals your energy. It distracts your mind. And even if you stay busy, you know something's off. You feel that nagging weight, that unfinished business. You check your messages. You scroll. You tidy things up. But you're not free. You're avoiding. And avoiding takes more from you than the task ever would have. Avoidance drains your spirit, but action, even uncomfortable action, gives you life. Doing the hard thing first isn't a matter of willpower. It's a decision. It's choosing to stop letting your feelings lead. It's choosing clarity over comfort. It's asking yourself what matters most right now, and acting on it without delay. And once you build that habit, once you train yourself to face the challenge before it grows, you become the kind of person who doesn't fear pressure. You welcome it. Start with small steps. You don't need to overhaul your whole day. You just need to identify the one thing you've been avoiding, and do that first. Maybe it's organizing your finances. Maybe it's telling someone the truth. Maybe it's committing to your workout when everything inside says skip it. The task doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to matter. It just has to be something that stretches you a little. And once you finish it, feel what happens. You'll notice a shift inside, that sense of pride, that mental lift, that freedom from the weight of procrastination. That's the reward of self-discipline. We live in a world that rewards speed, but real progress comes from direction. And nothing gives you stronger direction than a disciplined mind that faces difficulty head-on. When you build this habit, your goals no longer feel out of reach, because you're not waiting to feel ready. You're acting, you're not stuck in motion. You're moving with purpose, and that movement builds momentum. There will be days you don't want to, days when comfort calls louder, days when your energy is low and your doubts are high. Those are the days this practice matters the most. Because when you push through that resistance, even a little, you build resilience. And resilience doesn't just help you with the hard thing today. It prepares you for everything that's coming. Most people wait to feel inspired before they act. But inspiration is not dependable. Action is. And nothing creates more confidence than doing what needs to be done when it's hardest. That moment when you choose to lean in instead of pull back becomes a turning point. And the more you do it, the stronger you get. Not just mentally, but emotionally. You learn that effort doesn't break you. It builds you. When you teach yourself to do the hard thing first, you stop living reactively. You stop letting the world dictate your pace. You take ownership. You wake up with intention. You don't need anyone to remind you what matters. You already know. And more importantly, you act on it, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. Don't underestimate what this one change can do. It's simple but powerful. And over time, it will change how you show up in every area of your life. You'll become someone who follows through. Someone who doesn't fold under pressure. Someone who keeps their promises, even the quiet ones you make to yourself in the dark. And that kind of person doesn't just chase success. They build it. You don't need more time. You don't need a better strategy. You need the strength to face the one thing you've been pushing aside. Start there. Start with what feels heavy. Start with what makes you pause. And do it early, before doubt speaks, before fear gets loud, before your energy is spent. Tackle it while your mind is still sharp, while your focus is fresh. That window right at the start of your day is gold. Use it. Guard it. Build your strength in it. The more you do this, the less time you spend stuck. The less regret you carry. The less frustration you feel at the end of your day wondering where your time went. Because you know exactly where it went. It went into what mattered. It went into effort, into discipline, into courage. And that's a life worth living. A life that doesn't just hope for better. It builds better. One decision, one hard thing, one morning at a time. Number 3, master the power of delayed gratification. There's a moment in every decision where you get to choose. Do you take the quick reward, or do you hold off for something greater down the line? That decision is where character is revealed. Most people struggle, not because they don't have goals, but because they keep choosing what feels good now instead of what leads to something meaningful later. And it's in those small moments, those daily choices, that discipline is either built or broken. You don't need to be stronger than everyone else. You don't need to be more talented. You just need to be better at waiting. Waiting is hard. It tests your patience. It demands that you stay focused when nothing around you is changing. But that's exactly where growth happens. When you learn to delay gratification, you're learning to stop letting your cravings lead your life. You're learning to value the bigger picture. You're learning to think long-term when everything in your body wants short-term comfort. The reason most people never reach their goals is because they choose temporary pleasure over lasting progress. They know what they should do, but when the opportunity to distract themselves shows up, they take it. Whether it's food, entertainment, scrolling, spending, or skipping out on hard work, the temptations are always there, and they'll never go away. But the power to resist them, that's something you can build. It starts with being honest with yourself. Ask, what am I trading for this moment of comfort? You'll find that most of the time, the trade isn't worth it. You give up energy, time, momentum. You lose the pride that comes from choosing what's right over what's easy. And you know it, even in the moment. There's always that voice inside that says, you could have held on just a little longer. That's the voice of your potential. And every time you choose delayed gratification, that voice gets louder. It begins to guide you. It becomes your compass. Learning to wait doesn't mean denying yourself forever. It means you stop settling. It means you build the life you actually want, instead of constantly chasing a quick fix. The strongest people are the ones who can hold off when the world is telling them to give in. They understand that satisfaction that's earned feels better than anything handed to them. They're willing to be uncomfortable today if it means living with pride tomorrow. But this isn't something that comes naturally. You have to train it. You start small. Maybe you delay that impulse buy for a week. Maybe you wait 30 minutes before eating when the craving hits. Maybe you sit in silence instead of distracting yourself. Each time you resist, you're telling your brain, I'm in charge here. And that sense of control grows stronger with practice. That control becomes the foundation of your discipline. We've all seen people who seem to have it all but can't hold on to it. Success without discipline falls apart fast. That's why delayed gratification isn't just for the beginning of your journey. It's a mindset you carry all the way through. When you can say no to what doesn't serve you, you keep your edge. You protect your focus. You preserve your energy for what actually matters. There will always be a payoff for waiting. But here's the catch. You won't always see it right away. That's why most give up. They want to feel the reward now. They want proof it's working. But the truth is, most real rewards take time. And you won't always get applause while you're building. You won't always feel progress. Sometimes you'll feel invisible. But in that quiet space, something powerful is happening. You're strengthening your discipline. You're proving that your choices aren't controlled by emotions. You're proving that your future matters more than your current craving. Don't underestimate what this does to your confidence. When you say no to what's easy and keep going, you walk taller. You respect yourself more. You begin to see yourself as someone who's capable of doing hard things. That belief spills into every part of your life. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop comparing your journey to others. You stop needing instant wins to keep going. You develop patience. Real patience. And patience is a superpower in a world that's addicted to now. You'll hear people say, life is short, enjoy it, but enjoyment without direction leads to regret. Delayed gratification isn't about rejecting joy. It's about choosing the kind of joy that lasts. There's nothing enjoyable about always being behind, always cleaning up messes from bad choices, always wondering where your time went. But there's deep joy in progress, in knowing that you stayed true to your values, in seeing results that came because you waited when others rushed. There's a strength that comes from being able to look at temptation and walk past it. Not because you're scared of it, not because you don't want it, but because you know what you're building is worth more. That kind of strength isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention, but it shows up in how you carry yourself. It shows up in the quality of your work. It shows up in the peace you feel when your life reflects your values. Every time you delay gratification, you're casting a vote for your future self. You're building a life you'll be proud to live in, and no one else can do it for you. No one can resist the urge on your behalf. No one can choose long-term gain over short-term pleasure for you. That's yours to own. And it's in that ownership where your power is found. You want to change your life. Start by mastering one simple question. Will this bring me closer or pull me further away. If it's not helping you grow, it's holding you back. If it's not part of the vision, it's just noise. You don't need more noise. You need clarity. And clarity only comes when you stop chasing distractions and start standing firm in your decisions. Discipline is freedom, and delayed gratification is what gives that discipline its edge. Because once you stop giving in to every whim, you start directing your life. You stop surviving and start building. You stop reacting and start creating. And creation takes patience. Real patience. The kind that doesn't fold when progress is slow. The kind that holds the line even when no one's watching. The kind that trusts that the reward will come. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will come. And when it does, it won't be by accident. It'll be the result of every time you chose to wait. Every time you chose the hard way. Every time you said yes to your future and no to the distraction in front of you. Number 4. Keep a written scorecard of your promises to yourself. Every day you make quiet commitments to yourself. Maybe it's waking up on time, finishing your work, staying consistent with your habits, or speaking with more discipline. These aren't public vows. No one else might even know you've made them. But you know, and whether you realize it or not, your self-image is built on what you do about those promises. When you follow through, even in silence, your confidence grows. When you break them, even with excuses, something inside weakens. The quickest way to build or destroy your trust in yourself is to track how you treat your own word. Most people treat their promises to themselves casually. They say, "I'll start tomorrow," or "I'll try my best," but they never actually sit down and write them out. They don't record them. They don't check in with them. And over time, they forget them. Not just mentally, but emotionally. They lose that connection with what they said they would do. But something happens when you write them down. It becomes real, tangible. You can't ignore it when it's staring back at you on paper. A written scorecard is more than a to-do list. It's a mirror. It reflects how well you're living up to your values. It shows where your actions align and where they don't. And when you get in the habit of reviewing it daily, it holds you to a higher standard. Not because someone is forcing you, but because you've decided your own word matters enough to track. You don't need a complex system. You just need consistency. Get a notebook, a whiteboard, a planner, anything that stays in front of you. Write down what you're committed to for the day or the week. Keep it simple, clear, no fluff, no guessing. It might look like wake up at 5:30. No phone until after workout. Write 500 words, read 10 pages. These are not goals. These are actions, promises. And once they're written, your job is to follow through. Not perfectly, but honestly, every time you finish a task, check it off. Feel that moment, that sense of, "I did what I said I would." That feeling is powerful. It's not about external results. It's about building inner strength. Each check mark is a brick in the foundation of your discipline. And the more you keep track, the more serious you become about your own growth. The reason a written scorecard works so well is because it eliminates guesswork. You're no longer relying on memory or emotion. You're not waking up and deciding what to do based on how you feel. You already decided. You already made the promise. Now it's about integrity. Now it's about proving that you don't break your word even when no one's watching. Most people remember when others let them down, but forget how often they let themselves down. A written scorecard makes that impossible to ignore. If you said you'd do something and it's still unchecked, you have to face it. You can't hide behind busyness. You can't justify it away. It's there, in black and white, and that's uncomfortable, but necessary. Growth doesn't happen when you look away. It happens when you face the gap between what you said and what you did. Over time, this practice rewires your brain. You start associating commitment with action. You stop speaking carelessly. You stop setting goals out of emotion. You become more intentional, more aware, more honest. You don't chase motivation anymore. You build momentum, and momentum comes from clarity. When you can see exactly what needs to be done and what hasn't been done, you move with a different kind of energy. You'll also start to notice patterns. Maybe you're strong in the mornings, but fall off in the evenings. Maybe you're consistent on weekdays, but slack off on weekends. The scorecard shows you the truth. And when you see the truth, you can do something about it. You can adjust, improve, strengthen your weak spots. That's how discipline grows, not by chance, but by tracking and improving your follow-through day by day. There's another benefit too. Writing your promises makes your wins more real. Too often, people forget what they've accomplished. They move on so quickly, they don't take the time to recognize progress. But when you look back on a week's worth of promises kept, it reminds you that you're changing, you're improving, you're showing up. And that feeling matters. It builds the kind of quiet confidence that lasts. This isn't about perfection. There will be days when you miss, when you forget, when you fall short. That's human. The point isn't to get everything right. It's to become someone who owns their effort, someone who doesn't pretend, someone who looks at an empty checkbox and says, "That's on me," and then fixes it the next day. Because that's what strong people do. They don't run from responsibility. They use it to grow. If you've ever felt like your days are slipping by without progress, start keeping score. Not for the world, for yourself. Start tracking your word, not your feelings, your promises. Because the person you become in the process of doing what you said, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one cares, is someone who can be trusted. And that trust is the foundation of everything worth building. When you write it down, you make it count. You stop hoping. You start working. You stop drifting. You start leading. Not others, yourself. And once you learn to lead yourself with clarity and consistency, nothing stays the same. You raise the bar, not by force but by example. You become someone who doesn't just set goals, you fulfill them. Someone who doesn't wait for motivation, you create movement. Someone who doesn't just talk about change, you live it, track it, and build it into your daily life. A written scorecard is a simple tool, but it holds enormous power, because it takes discipline out of your head and puts it into your hands. It turns vague ideas into concrete steps, and those steps, taken over time, lead to transformation. Real transformation. The kind that sticks. The kind that can't be faked. The kind that comes from showing up again and again, because you said you would. Number 5. Limit your exposure to distractions with purposeful boundaries. Discipline doesn't survive in chaos. It fades when the noise gets too loud, when the phone is always buzzing, when your environment is filled with interruptions. The world you live in is not short on distractions. In fact, it's built around them. Companies spend billions to capture your attention and keep it. And if you don't draw the line, you'll spend your entire day responding, reacting, drifting, never truly in control of your focus. If you want to build stronger self-discipline, one of the most important things you can do is put boundaries around your attention. Not to escape the world, but to create space for what matters. Without boundaries, your energy gets scattered. You start the day with good intentions, but by evening, you wonder where the hours went. That's not laziness. That's a lack of structure. And the only way to fix that is by taking ownership of your time. You've got to decide on purpose what gets your attention and what doesn't. You don't have to respond to every message right away. You don't have to scroll every feed. You don't have to open every notification. The choice is yours. But most people don't realize how often they give that choice away. They allow distractions to lead them, instead of setting rules that protect their focus. If you want clarity, you've got to create it. That means making real decisions about your environment. For example, your phone doesn't belong in every room you enter. It doesn't need to be next to you while you're working, reading, thinking, or eating. The habit of always keeping it nearby seems harmless, but it breaks your concentration over and over again. You don't even realize how many times your thoughts get pulled away. It feels normal, but normal isn't working. Set clear time limits for things that steal your focus. If you use social media, give it a scheduled block. Don't just use it when you have a minute. That minute becomes 10, then 20, then an hour. Before you know it, the day is half gone. Your discipline isn't weak. You just didn't protect your time from small leaks. And when you patch those leaks, even just a few of them, you start to feel the difference. You feel calmer, sharper, more present. One of the most effective boundaries you can build is a no-go zone. This is a physical space, maybe your desk, a corner in your room, a table where only certain behaviors are allowed. No distractions, no entertainment, just work, thinking, learning, or creating. It becomes a place where your brain knows it's time to lock in. You train yourself to associate that space with purpose. Over time, the habit becomes automatic. You sit down and you focus. No negotiation. If you live or work around others, your boundaries must also be communicated. People around you can't read your mind. If you're constantly available to chat or answer every question, they'll assume it's fine. You have to respectfully but clearly say, "I'm focusing for the next hour. I'll talk after." At first, this might feel uncomfortable, but in the long run, it earns you respect. People start to see that your time matters to you, that you take your priorities seriously. Start treating your calendar like it has real value. Block off time for things that matter, even if no one else sees it. Don't just wait for free time to show up. Create it. Give your mind room to breathe and concentrate. A good rule of thumb: if something is important enough to you, it deserves a spot on your schedule. And once it's there, honor it. That appointment with yourself is just as serious as any meeting with someone else. Noise is another common thief of attention. If your environment is full of distractions, TV in the background, music that pulls your mind away, constant conversations, it's going to be difficult to stay disciplined. You need pockets of silence. Not forever, just enough to think clearly, work deeply, and stay connected to your goals. It's okay to enjoy entertainment, but not while you're trying to build something, not while you're investing in yourself. You also need to manage your inputs. Every podcast, video, article, and conversation you consume is shaping your thoughts. And too much input creates mental clutter. You start jumping from idea to idea, never settling into deep focus. Try limiting how much content you take in, especially early in the day. Give your brain space to generate its own ideas. You don't need constant stimulation. What you really need is direction. Another powerful habit is starting your day without outside noise. No phone, no messages, no news. Just time with yourself. Think, plan, reflect, ask, what needs to get done today? What matters most? That morning clarity becomes your anchor. Without it, you begin the day already off balance. You're reacting instead of leading. The simple act of keeping the world out for the first hour of your day can multiply your discipline in every other area. Remember, boundaries aren't about restriction, they're about freedom. When you limit your exposure to distractions, you free up energy. You take back control. You create space to actually do the things you said you wanted to do. To live with more peace, more focus, more intention. But none of that happens by accident. It takes planning. It takes follow-through. It takes saying no to 1,000 little things, so you can say yes to what matters most. Your future depends on what you do with your time. If your days are filled with noise, you'll never hear the sound of your own ambition. If your minutes are spent chasing small comforts, you'll never make space for growth. That's why these boundaries are not optional. They are essential. Without them, you don't stand a chance in today's world. But with them, you become powerful. Not because the world is quiet, but because you've trained yourself to stay clear, even in the middle of the noise. Set limits, not as punishment, but as a path to power. Get honest about what pulls you off track. Look at your habits. Look at your surroundings. Ask yourself, is this helping me stay on course? And if it's not, change it. Simplify. Remove. Reduce. Do whatever it takes to keep your attention where it needs to be. Your discipline isn't built just on willpower. It's built on environment. Build one that serves your mission, not by chance, by design. Number 6, practice saying no without guilt. One of the hardest things to do in life, especially when you care about people, is learning to say no. But if you want to get serious about self-discipline, you've got to get good at it. You can't grow into your full potential If you're always bending to please others, giving away your time, energy, and attention to things that don't move your life forward. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying no to something that does. And most people don't realize how much they're giving up until it's too late. People will ask for your time, your help, your attention, sometimes even your peace, and often they won't mean any harm. But the truth is, their priorities aren't your priorities. Their urgency isn't your responsibility. If you try to be everything to everyone, you lose yourself in the process. You end up exhausted, frustrated, and disconnected from your own goals. And discipline doesn't grow in that kind of environment. You have to know what you're building. You have to know what matters to you. Because when you do, you start making decisions based on your values, not based on guilt. Guilt is what shows up when you don't want to let people down. But here's something important to understand. Saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you clear. It means you've decided your time is valuable. It means you're aware of your limits, and that's not weakness. That's wisdom. You can't afford to be available to everything. Your time is not unlimited. Your energy isn't either. And every yes you give takes something out of you. Every commitment, every favor, every extra task, it adds up. You might think it's just a small thing, but enough small things will bury your big ones. You get to the end of the week wondering why nothing important got done, and it's because you were busy doing what didn't matter to you. It's not always obvious at first. That's why this skill takes practice. Learning to say no without guilt means you've made peace with the fact that you can't do it all. You've accepted that not everyone will understand your choices, and that's okay. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to become the best version of yourself, and that takes discipline. That takes cutting out distractions, even when they come wrapped in good intentions. It takes honoring your boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable. Start small. If someone asks you to do something that doesn't fit with your priorities, pause before answering. Ask yourself, does this align with where I'm trying to go? Will this take time away from what I said I wanted to do today? If the answer is yes, you owe it to yourself to decline, not rudely, not with an explanation you don't believe. Just a clear, respectful no. That's enough. You don't need to defend your time. You just need to value it. And when you start acting like your time matters, other people will begin to treat it that way too. But it starts with you. People take cues from how you carry yourself. If you always say yes, they assume you're always available. And once that pattern sets in, it becomes harder to break. That's why you must begin now. Draw the line. Make your boundaries known. Be honest. Be kind. But be firm. Saying no is not just about turning things down. It's about turning things up. Your focus, your strength, your discipline. Every time you choose yourself over what others expect of you, you get stronger. You gain clarity. You take a step closer to the life you're working for. It might not feel good in the moment, especially if you've always been the one to help, the one to say yes, the one who's always there. But if you want to grow, you have to change your patterns. One of the reasons people feel guilty saying no is because they confuse rejection with disrespect. But the two are not the same. Saying no is not a personal attack, it's a personal boundary. You're not rejecting the person, you're protecting your time. And if someone takes your no as an insult, that's not your burden to carry. Your job is to live in alignment with your values. That's where discipline begins. The truth is, guilt is not a reliable guide. Guilt shows up even when you're doing the right thing. It tries to convince you that setting limits is wrong, but you don't need to obey guilt. You need to lead your life with purpose. Discipline means doing what's right, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it disappoints someone else, because you understand what's at stake. Your future depends on the decisions you make today, and every yes and no carries weight. If you spend your life making choices to avoid conflict, you'll never create the life you want. You'll just keep drifting from one demand to another, reacting instead of building. Discipline comes from choosing your path and sticking to it, not from trying to walk everyone else's path at the same time. Give yourself permission to say no. Not later, not next time. Now give yourself permission to make room for your goals, your health, your growth. Don't apologize for that. Don't explain it away. Stand on it. Own it. This is your life, and if you don't take responsibility for it, someone else will. Not because they're trying to harm you, but because you've left the door open. Start practicing today. Look at your calendar. Look at your inbox. Look at all the ways people ask for your time. Ask yourself what needs to go. What's not helping you? What's costing you more than it gives back? Begin there. Cancel what doesn't align. Decline what doesn't support your progress. Let go of the fear that says you must do everything for everyone. That's not strength. That's avoidance. Real strength is knowing what matters and refusing to let anything interfere. There will always be people who want more of you. More time, more effort, more attention. But you are not required to give what you don't have. You are allowed to reserve your energy for what matters most. You are allowed to walk away from what drains you. You are allowed to guard your time like it's gold because it is. That's the foundation of self-discipline. And without that foundation, nothing you build will last. Number 7. Design a personal morning routine that builds mental strength. Your morning is where the tone of your day is set. If you want to grow stronger mentally, you must take full control of how you start your day. The mind is sharpest when you first wake up. That's when you have the most say in what direction your energy goes. That's when your discipline gets tested before the noise of the world kicks in. If you want to strengthen your mind, begin where it all begins. Those first few hours after you open your eyes. Now, what you do in the morning matters more than people think. Most people wake up already late, already rushed, already distracted. They grab their phones before they even sit up. They check messages, scroll through nonsense, feed their brains with things that do nothing to make them stronger. That's a dangerous habit, because once your focus is hijacked in the morning, the rest of the day is spent trying to recover your peace, and that's not how strong minds are built. You've got to decide that the first part of your day belongs to you, not your job, not your phone, not anyone else. You. It's your responsibility to claim that time and fill it with things that sharpen you. And that starts by creating a routine that you can commit to, day after day. Not because someone told you to, but because you know it will make you tougher, clearer, and more prepared for whatever life throws at you. Now, your routine doesn't have to be complicated, but it does need to be intentional. Every part of it should serve a purpose. Maybe that means waking up earlier than usual. Maybe that means doing something difficult right away. Maybe it's a cold shower, a long walk, or a workout. What matters is that it challenges you, because mental strength isn't built on comfort. It's built on facing discomfort and choosing to keep going anyway. Get in the habit of doing things you don't want to do, right when the day starts. Not to punish yourself, but to train yourself. Because the world won't always be easy. Challenges will come. Delays will happen. People will disappoint you. But if you've trained your mind to be steady, to be strong, to keep its word, you'll be ready. You won't be shaken. You won't fall apart the minute something goes wrong. You'll face it with a clear head and steady hands. In the morning, before the world pulls you in 100 directions, take time to ground yourself. That could mean writing down your goals. That could mean reading something meaningful. That could mean sitting in silence and getting your thoughts in order. When you choose how to think instead of letting the world think for you, you build a kind of strength most people never tap into. You become someone who leads their day, not someone who gets dragged by it. Another powerful habit to add to your routine is reflection. Take 5 or 10 minutes to ask yourself some hard questions. What am I aiming for today? Where am I wasting energy? What's one thing I can do to be better than yesterday? That kind of thinking conditions your brain to focus, to improve, to stay alert. It pulls you out of autopilot and places you in control of your thoughts. And the more you do this, the stronger your mind becomes. Don't underestimate the value of discipline in the first hour of your day. That's the part of your life that nobody sees. But it's where everything starts. You can't build a strong life with a weak start. And a strong start isn't something that happens on its own. It has to be built, brick by brick, through consistent effort. You don't need to copy anyone else's routine. You need to create one that fits your values, your pace, your goals, and then stick to it. Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. You might not feel like getting up early, do it anyway. You might not feel like writing your plans down, do it anyway. You might not feel like stretching, moving, reading, or reflecting, do it anyway. Because every time you do something hard in the morning, you send a message to your mind. I'm in charge. I don't quit. I follow through. That's what mental strength looks like. Not perfect performance, but consistent effort, even when it's uncomfortable. Over time, that routine becomes your foundation. It becomes your anchor. On days when everything around you feels unstable, you still have something that's solid. You still have something that grounds you. That's what gives you power when others fall apart. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than your excuses. It's about showing up for yourself before you show up for the world. This also means keeping your routine sacred. Protect it from interruptions. Don't let other people's problems break into it. Don't check messages or emails until you've done what you need to do. That's not selfish. That's self-respect. If you keep letting people pull you away from what matters, you're training your brain to be reactive, not disciplined. And that's not how strong people operate. Your mental strength is not built during the easy parts of life. It's built during the hard parts. And your routine becomes your training ground. You build discipline one small act at a time. You grow stronger by making yourself do what you promised yourself you'd do, even when no one else is watching. Especially then, that's where real growth happens. You might feel resistance at first. That's natural. Changing how you start your day means breaking old habits, and that's not always fun. But once you start seeing how much more control, clarity, and power you have when your day begins on your terms, you'll never want to go back. You'll start craving that early time, that personal space, that quiet focus. Don't wait until life calms down to create a routine. Create one now, right in the middle of the chaos. That's where it counts. That's where it holds the most value. Because when life is loud and you're still calm, when days are full but you're still clear, that's strength. And that strength doesn't come from luck. It comes from how you begin each day. It comes from choosing discipline before comfort. It comes from leading your life one morning at a time. Number 8, use accountability partners to stay on track. When you're trying to build discipline, the hardest part isn't always starting. The hardest part is continuing. When no one's watching, when your energy dips, when your motivation fades, that's when most people slide back into their old ways. And one of the most powerful tools to avoid that slip, to hold the line, is accountability. Real accountability. Not in your head, not in theory, but from another person who's willing to look you in the eye and expect more from you. We all need someone in our corner, not to push us like a boss, not to scold us like a teacher, but to walk beside us and say, "Did you do what you said you'd do?" Because when we speak something out loud to another human being, it becomes real. There's a weight to it, a kind of seriousness. Now, it's not just a thought floating in your mind. Now it's a commitment, and that commitment carries pressure. The right kind of pressure, the kind that helps you grow. When you pick an accountability partner, you're not just choosing someone to check up on you. You're choosing someone who values growth the way you do. You're picking a person who understands the difference between comfort and commitment. This isn't about judgment. It's about honesty. It's about having someone who won't accept your excuses, because they know what you're capable of when you stop giving in to your own shortcuts. The truth is, it's easy to lie to ourselves. We all do it sometimes. We say we'll do it later. We say we're too tired. We say it wasn't the right time. But when someone else is keeping score with you, those lies lose their grip. When someone's waiting for your report, waiting to hear what progress you've made, suddenly you can't hide in the shadows of almost. You have to show up. And that's the very thing that strengthens your self-discipline. A good accountability partner doesn't have to be loud. They just have to be consistent. It could be a friend, a mentor, a coach, or even someone on the same journey as you. What matters is that you both agree to check in. You both agree to be real. You both agree that growth is more important than comfort. And then you set the rules. How often you'll talk, what you'll track, what you'll share. Don't leave it vague. Clear expectations create strong follow-through. This isn't about micromanagement. It's about bringing your efforts out into the open. When you keep everything to yourself, it's easy to let your standards drop without even noticing. But when you speak your goals, when you lay your actions out on the table, it forces you to stay awake. It keeps you from drifting. It gives you a reason to rise above the daily temptations and distractions that try to pull you back into patterns that don't serve you. Most people don't want accountability because it forces them to face the truth. But if you want to get better, you have to be willing to look at where you're falling short, not to feel bad about it, not to beat yourself up, but to do something about it, to correct it, to climb back up. And that process is a lot easier when you're not doing it alone. A partner gives you the push you sometimes can't give yourself. It's also important to choose someone who won't let you off easy. You don't need someone to sugarcoat things. You need someone who will call you out with respect. Someone who will say, "You're better than this. What happened?" That honesty might sting in the moment, but it keeps you sharp. It wakes you up. It reminds you of your standards. And if that person is really invested in your growth, they'll also remind you what you've done right. That balance matters. It's not just about pointing out what's missing. It's about recognizing progress and using it to fuel more progress. There's also something powerful about hearing yourself speak your progress out loud. When you talk through what you've done, where you struggled, and what you plan to fix, you take ownership of your journey. That's a huge part of developing self-discipline. Learning to own your actions instead of blaming circumstances. And when someone else is listening, it gives your words more weight. It locks your intentions into place. If you struggle with staying consistent, this kind of support system can be a game changer. It removes the isolation. It brings your growth into the light. And sometimes just knowing that someone will ask how you did is enough to push you to make better choices. That simple question, "Did you stick to your word?" can shift your entire behavior, even on a day when you don't feel like trying. Start by reaching out to someone you trust, someone who shares your values. Tell them what you're working on. Be clear. Say, "I'm building discipline. I want to follow through on my goals, and I need someone who will keep me honest." Most people will respect that kind of clarity. And if they're willing, agree on a rhythm for check-ins. Make it part of your weekly routine. Keep it short, keep it honest, and keep it going. This isn't about perfection. You'll have weeks when you mess up. But the point is, you won't get away with it quietly. That's what accountability does. It brings the truth to the surface, so you can fix it fast. It helps you recover quicker, get back on track sooner, and keep your momentum alive even when things get messy. It's like a mirror that talks back to you, not to shame you, but to sharpen you. Don't wait until everything falls apart to reach out. Build this into your process now. Build it while you're growing. Build it while you're strong. Because discipline isn't just about willpower, it's about structure. And structure needs support. An accountability partner is that support. Someone who believes in your direction, expects your best, and reminds you of the path you committed to walk. Use that. Let it push you. Let it lift you when you're tired. Let it shape you into someone who doesn't need to be perfect, but who refuses to give up. Number 9. Reflect every night on what you did right and what needs work. When the day comes to a close, there is a quiet moment that belongs only to you. That moment holds a unique kind of power because it offers a chance to take stock of everything you did, not just the big wins, but the small steps, the decisions, the actions that shaped your day. Reflection is not just a habit. It's a skill that sharpens your self-discipline like nothing else. It creates awareness. It builds honesty. And it gives you the opportunity to grow stronger with every passing day. At night, when you pause and think about your day, you give yourself permission to be truthful without judgment. It's not about beating yourself up over mistakes or celebrating without balance. It's about understanding the full picture. What did you do well? What moved you closer to your goals? What choices aligned with your values? That acknowledgement feeds your confidence. It's proof that progress is happening even if it feels slow. Your mind remembers those moments of success, and they become fuel for tomorrow. On the other hand, looking at what didn't go well is just as important. It's a way to see where your discipline slipped, where distractions won, or where you didn't live up to your own standards. This is not a time for excuses. It's a chance to ask yourself honest questions. Why did I make that choice? What got in my way? How can I do better next time? When you face these questions openly, you create a roadmap for improvement. Without this reflection, you risk repeating the same mistakes without realizing it. There's also a deeper emotional benefit to this practice. When you reflect every night, you develop a stronger connection to your own experience. You begin to feel more in control, more responsible, more aware. That awareness is the foundation of self-discipline because it stops you from living on autopilot. You start seeing patterns in your behavior, what triggers you to lose focus or give in to temptation. With that knowledge, you can take action before those moments control you. Taking this time also helps your mind settle before sleep. It's easy for worries or regrets to pile up and keep you tossing and turning. But when you make reflection a habit, you shift your attention to constructive thoughts. You remind yourself of what's working and prepare mentally to fix what's not. This clarity can improve your rest, and when you wake up refreshed, your willpower is stronger. Reflection doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as writing down a few notes or quietly thinking through your day. The key is consistency. Making it a daily ritual creates a habit of self-awareness. That habit trains your mind to notice your actions in real time, to catch yourself before you stray too far from your goals. It's like having a conversation with yourself that's honest and kind, firm but fair. Some people find it helpful to divide their reflection into two parts: what went well and what needs work. This gives balance to your review. Celebrating the wins, no matter how small, keeps your spirit up. Recognizing the areas for improvement keeps you humble and focused. When you write these down, you're making a commitment to yourself. You're turning thoughts into intentions. This nightly practice also builds mental resilience. It trains you to face reality without fear. When you get comfortable with looking at your flaws, you stop running from them. You stop hiding mistakes behind excuses or distractions. That's where true discipline lives, in facing your truth and choosing to keep moving forward anyway. It's a quiet strength that grows when you refuse to ignore your own patterns. If you find yourself tempted to skip this reflection, remind yourself that discipline isn't about perfection. It's about effort. It's about showing up for yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. The days you don't feel like looking back are the ones you need it most, because those are the days your focus drifts, your energy fades, and your habits weaken. Reflection is the tool that brings you back to center. In practice, this habit makes each day a building block. When you combine honest reflection with intentional action, you create momentum that compounds. Every night's insight informs tomorrow's choices. You start setting clearer priorities and making decisions that align with your highest goals. The fog of distraction begins to clear, and your path becomes more visible. Don't underestimate the power of this simple act. Taking 5 or 10 minutes each night to honestly review your day will change the way you approach your goals. It teaches patience, because progress is rarely instant. It encourages perseverance, because growth often comes in small, steady steps. It builds courage, because it forces you to be real with yourself. This practice also deepens your understanding of what discipline really means. It's not about rigid rules or harsh punishments. It's about respect for your own potential. It's about recognizing the value of each decision, each moment, and choosing wisely again and again. When you reflect nightly, you start seeing discipline as a form of self-care, a way to honor your dreams by how you live every single day. By making reflection a habit, you're investing in your future self. You're creating a strong foundation for lasting change. You're learning to listen to yourself with clarity and kindness. This kind of inner dialogue is one of the most powerful tools for growth because it stays with you long after the day is done. It sets the stage for greater focus, stronger willpower, and deeper commitment. Ultimately, reflecting on your day every night gives you control over your journey. It empowers you to steer yourself toward the life you want, rather than drifting wherever the moment takes you. It reminds you that discipline is built in the small, consistent choices that happen quietly, away from the spotlight. That's where the real progress happens, and that progress is yours to claim, one honest moment at a time. Number 10. Commit to a long-term vision, not short-term emotion. People often get caught up in what they feel right now, and those feelings can be powerful. It's easy to let emotion decide your actions, because feelings hit you immediately. They are loud, demanding, and sometimes overwhelming. But if you want to improve self-discipline, you have to learn how to step beyond those quick emotions. You need to anchor yourself in a vision that stretches beyond today, beyond the moment, beyond the next hour, or even the next week. That vision is what will keep you steady when your emotions pull you in different directions. Every day presents choices, and many of those choices are influenced by what feels good or uncomfortable in the moment. When frustration comes, or fatigue, or temptation, your emotions whisper, sometimes scream, give up, take the easy way, do what feels good right now. If you surrender to those urges, you'll drift off course. You might find relief in the short term, but in the long run, you'll pay the price. Your goals won't move forward, your dreams will feel farther away, and your confidence will weaken. The key is to remember the bigger picture. You must keep your eyes on the long-term vision, the life you want to build, the person you want to become. That vision is a source of strength. It's like a steady light in the distance, even when the storm of emotions rages around you. When you commit to something bigger, you give yourself a reason to push through discomfort. You create a pause between feeling and action, and in that pause lies your power. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. Emotions are part of being human, and they provide important information, but they should not be the boss of your decisions. You can acknowledge how you feel without letting those feelings dictate what you do. You learn to say, I see you frustration. I see you temptation. I will act in a way that serves my long-term goal, not my short-term desire. That is discipline in action. The long-term vision must be clear and meaningful. If it's vague or weak, it won't hold you when emotions challenge you. Take time to define what you really want. What kind of life matters to you? What legacy do you want to leave? What values do you want to live by? When your vision connects deeply to your heart and your values, it becomes a force that shapes your daily decisions. One way to keep this vision alive is to remind yourself often. Write it down. Look at it when you feel your motivation slipping. Picture what your life will look like once you stay committed. Feel the pride and satisfaction that come from achieving that vision. These mental pictures help pull you back when the short-term emotions try to pull you away. In moments of doubt or weakness, it's natural for emotions to rise and cloud your thinking. Maybe you feel tired, overwhelmed, or discouraged. That's when the long-term vision must become your anchor. Ask yourself, will acting on this feeling bring me closer to my vision, or will it take me further away? This question creates a powerful moment of choice. You can either surrender to the emotion or act with purpose. Sometimes committing to the long-term vision means sacrificing immediate pleasures. It could be skipping a night out to work on a project. It might be resisting the urge to procrastinate. It might mean staying focused when distractions call. These sacrifices are not losses, they are investments in your future. The discipline to say no to short-term temptations creates space for bigger rewards later. The challenge is that the results you want don't always come fast. Waiting can be uncomfortable. Progress might feel slow or invisible. That's why many give up when their emotions push them toward instant gratification. But when you focus on the long-term vision, you learn patience. You understand that success is a journey made of small, consistent steps over time. Patience itself is a skill that strengthens your discipline. It teaches you to tolerate discomfort and uncertainty without losing your direction. The people who succeed are often not the fastest or the strongest, but those who endure, those who refuse to quit even when it's tough. That endurance is born from commitment to the vision, not from chasing fleeting feelings. Another important part of this is learning to reframe challenges. Instead of letting frustration or failure knock you off course, you see them as part of the process. You remind yourself that setbacks are temporary, and that every step forward, no matter how small, adds up. This mindset helps you keep your emotions in check because you view difficulties through the lens of growth, not defeat. Living with a long-term vision also means accepting responsibility for your choices. It's tempting to blame mood swings, stress, or external circumstances when discipline slips. But when you commit to a vision, you own your actions regardless of how you feel. You recognize that discipline is about choosing what's right over what's easy every day, even when emotions say otherwise. When emotions are intense, your brain seeks comfort and relief. This is natural. The difference lies in how you respond. You can acknowledge the feeling, then return your focus to the vision. This habit grows stronger the more you practice it. Over time, you build a mental muscle that protects your progress from the ups and downs of emotion. It also helps to break the vision into smaller milestones. Big goals can feel overwhelming and distant. But when you create clear checkpoints, you see your progress more clearly. Reaching these milestones fuels your motivation and reminds you why the long-term commitment matters. This clarity reduces the chance that emotion will steer you off course. Being connected to a bigger purpose also encourages discipline. When your vision includes helping others, making a difference, or contributing something meaningful, your motivation deepens. Your actions become about more than just yourself. That purpose provides additional strength when short-term feelings tempt you to quit or give in. Building discipline through a long-term vision isn't about being rigid or robotic. It's about being intentional and thoughtful with your choices. It means creating a strong foundation that supports you through the highs and lows. You allow yourself to feel emotions fully, but you do not allow them to control you. This commitment to the long-term vision shapes how you use your time, energy, and focus. It helps you say no to distractions, avoid impulsive decisions, and stay consistent in your efforts. With that focus, self-discipline becomes less of a struggle and more of a natural way of living. When the temptation to give up arises, remind yourself of why you started. Remember the future you're working toward, the dreams that excite you. This connection is your shield against the unpredictability of emotion. It transforms your discipline from something you force yourself to do into something you choose to do, because it aligns with who you want to be. In this way, committing to a long-term vision is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. It frees you from the tyranny of momentary feelings and puts you in control of your journey. It turns discipline into a source of freedom, giving you the power to shape your life with intention and courage. That power is yours to claim every day, no matter what emotions come your way.